Find me in the corner of the room, not ready to resume, 'cause like I'm taking, don't wanna be alone.
Yep, that's my intro. Sup? Yeah, so today, guys, we're still focusing on the free-to-play and the low spenders, and we're focused on a specific category, which is dealing with the healers in the game. We're not focusing on every healer, though you might have heard them mention. We're not focusing on the self-healers on the game. And I want to add a caveat that when I say I'm focusing on the free-to-play and low spenders, I'm mostly speaking for the beginning of the game. Later on, we will be able to get into the later parts of the game when you have more characters. But these characters come over time. It takes months and months before you get even an opportunity to receive some of these other characters. So we want to focus on the characters that you get early in the game and how they could benefit, especially free-to-play and low-spending players at this moment. And we'll be focusing on who are the top 4. Now, we're not saying the top 5 because the 5th one will be considered Green Lantern. Green Lantern would be considered the 5th player. However, I don't put him on this list. I don't consider him a free-to-play character because though you can get him at VIP 2 because you have the milestone reach rewards, and the first 5 shards is at VIP 2, and then the other 5 shards for him is at VIP 4. It takes a long time to get the VIP points to get those shards without spending any money. So for that reason, I don't really consider him at all to be a free-to-play character, despite the fact that you can get him without spending any money. Even once getting him at that point, it will take VIP 6 to get another 10 shards. Then it'll be VIP 7 for another 10 shards, VIP 8 for another 10. It is very difficult. I spent on my main account, I spent a few $100s so far, maybe $500, maybe $600, close to $1,000. And currently, I think I'm only a VIP 8. I'm a VIP 9. I probably spent $1,000 on the game, and I'm only a VIP 9. So it takes a long time to be able to climb up that VIP ladder. I'm very active. I'm on the game consistently. So it will take you a long time to acquire the shards you need for him, and you will never be able to max him out without spending the money necessary to be able to max him out. So I don't really include him as a free-to-play, and a lot of people won't consider him as free-to-play. He's definitely pay-to-play. We have a lot of self-healers, as I mentioned before, like Shazam, who actually can revive himself. Bane, Harley Quinn, those guys are self-healers early in the game. You get one that you may get pretty early, but not that early, would be Deathstroke, another self-healer. Later on, you Ra's al Ghul and Sinestro. Those are self-healers that are in the game, and there are some others. But we're going to focus on 4 particular, and we're going to list them in order from bad to great. And I don't want to say bad for Mira, but she just isn't on the level of the other 3 that's in this category. And the main reason is more than likely because she currently only resides as a legendary character. She has a great toolkit in theory. Great in theory. And because how the kit is so great, it is extremely useful, especially when you don't have any other healers. She is extremely useful on your team until you can get the other healers up to par. Her main ability, she summons a vortex, and at level 5, right now, mine's at level 4, but at level 5, she heals 480% of her attack. She heals her allies for this amount. The problem with her ability, her main ability, is that she summons a vortex, and the vortex doesn't cover the majority of the field. So you may get a ally getting healing, maybe 2, possibly 3, depending on who you're facing. Like if you face like a Aquaman who pulls all your allies together, and then she summons her vortex, everyone will be under her vortex to be able to get the healing. Or things happen that makes your heroes move forward because you took out the front line, and she summons a vortex, she make her heal all your allies. But generally, she will be focusing on her vortex at different places on the field. I'm assuming that she sends it based off of who needs it the most. Even though that hasn't always been the case, I'm assuming that's the intent of it or the logic of it. And it kind of like doesn't really benefit everyone. And this is one of the reasons why she's so far on the list as like number 4. Her number 1 ability is, to me, and I love this ability, is her healing waters. And this one is important because she does this while she's in the middle of the match. It is not something that she needs to utilize her special in order to cast. And she heals one of the allies for 220% of her attack. When it's at max, it's 255% of her attack. And that's that max when she gets the 2 red mythic stars. The second one is another very beneficial one. For the first 20 seconds of the battle, mirror healing amount is increased by 20%. So in the beginning of the battle, she'll be given 20% more healing. So when she casts that healing water, which is already at 220%, she'll add an extra 20% to that. Not only that, but one of her last abilities is that she increases all champions' health power by 1,200%. No matter what map you're on, she increases their health power by 1,200% going into the match. And that's at level 4. It's at 1,500% at level 5. So that's a very beneficial stat for her. However, you'll find that my number 2, and there's a debate. I argue with someone about this. I prefer one. They prefer somebody else. I prefer Raven, but they prefer Ivy. So at number 3, I put Ivy. I put Ivy at number 3 for a very good. And her being at level 3, I put 2 and 3 at very equal levels. Very equal levels to me. Because they both have very good benefits that, it's hard to deny how beneficial it is. And you will see it when you're facing them in battle, the things that they do, why those things are so beneficial. Ivy, her special ability, Ivy unleashes green energy and summons countless vines, healing the target for 160% of her attack. Each vine she summons increases the healing effect by 20%, up to a maximum increase of 300%. Passive vine summons are immune to debuffs and gain super armor. This effect cannot be removed. Poison Ivy unleashes green energy. So this is a very beneficial effect. Healing. Poison Ivy summons a blooming ivy next to her ally. It inherits 10% of Poison Ivy's max health power and 100% of her other attributes. Every 2 seconds, the blooming ivy heals allies around it by 16% of its attack and inflicts 1 stack of Ivy's bloom for 15 seconds. This is one of my favorite abilities. She always casts it in the midst of battle. Where the battle is happening at, that's where she casts it at. So the people that's over there fighting are healing while they're fighting. So I really just love that ability. Of course, it scales as you go up in levels. And then there's Poison Ivy summons a thorny ivy next to an enemy. It inherits 10% of Poison Ivy's max health power and 100% of her other attributes. Every 1 second, the thorny ivy deals physical damage equal to 32%, and this is only at a level 2. So this she called this little plant, and this little plant is not only is it attacking the enemy, it's distracting the enemy as well. You'll see sometimes you cast this plant and they might kill the hero that you have there attacking it, but it doesn't advance to your back row because it has to kill that thorny ivy first. And her other ability, before we get there, she unleashes Beswitching Spores, dealing physical damage equal to 160% of her attack to an enemy and inflicting Bewitched, causing the target to slowly move towards her for 2 seconds. So the enemy will not only be losing health, but especially if you put Ivy in the back, if this enemy is in the back or even in the front line, it will get distracted from fighting whoever is fighting against and start walking towards Ivy. But with the very slow count of 2 seconds, it doesn't get to Ivy. It gets undistracted and go back to what it's doing. But it stopped it from being able to attack. This is sort of like a stun. It's almost like a stun. And it is an amazing ability that Ivy has. And her final ability, she increases champion's healing effect by 3%, and it applies globally. So what she does here, and it goes up in scale. This is only a level 2, and it goes up in scale. What she does is, for instance, say for instance you have Bane on your team, or you have Shazam, or Harley, or Sinestro, or Deathstroke, or Ra's al Ghul, who all heal themselves. She will increase their healing effect. Or even if you add another healer, she will increase their healing effect. So sometimes I might put Ivy and Mira on the same team, because then when Mira heals, Ivy will increase the healing effects that Mira is dishing out. So this is a very, very important ability of Ivy. And you can see how and why Ivy is just leagues over Mira. Just leagues by leaps and bounds. Super beneficial. And next, as I already mentioned, at my number 2, I have to go with Raven. I just love Raven's abilities. Raven is not a difficult champion to get. As I mentioned before, you can get it from the Meta store, from the Meta Brawl store. You can start getting her shards. You can get 10 for 1,000 of those. You can get the meta points by just consistently playing inside the Meta Brawl and gaining those points, and buy her shards there. You can use your generic shards, but once again, I would not use a generic shard, and you'll find out why in a moment why I wouldn't use it on Raven. And that's only in the beginning. One of the beneficial things about, I would say, about Ivy that may be over Raven is that Ivy shards seem to drop more inside the anvils. I can't recall, but I do recall. I can't really recall, but I believe I have seen some Raven shards drop in the anvil. I can't recall. Actually, no. I've never seen a Raven shard drop in the anvil. So you'll be basically buying her shards from there, and you can be able to use the generic shards. And we'll be covering Raven's abilities, which is, I love her abilities. She's one of my favorite healers. She's not my number 1 healer, but she's one of my favorite. Her special ability is Raven transforms into a Raven, circling overhead and healing all allies within a circular area in front of her by 240%, and that's at a level 1. You know what I mean? At level 2, 320%. So you see how high it's scaling. It gets higher and higher as it goes. She has great healing abilities, and it's just amazing. Her first ability at level 1, she summons a multitude of magical ravens through the rift, dealing spiritual damage equal to 160% of her attack to enemies within a rectangular area in front of her. Raven restores health power equal to 50% of the damage dealt to herself. So she's self-healing while she's doing that, which is very important. Raven bends time and space, swapping places with a selected ally whose health power is below 50% and healing them for 225% of her attack over 5 seconds. Take 5 seconds for her to heal, but look at the jump. It goes from 225% to 350% once it gets to level 2, and it scales even bigger as it goes up higher. I mean, we can already see how beneficial. She's swapping places with a person drop 50%. You put her in there with a Superman. Your Superman gets below 50%, and she's in the back row. Your Superman drops back to the back row. He's going to advance forward, but while he's advancing forward, he's healing that time. Within 5 seconds, he will heal 350% of Raven's attack. And Raven's attack is increased, of course, by her level and also by the AC/DC shards. So this is one of the reasons why you will use them on her. And we're going to do a video on AC/DC shards and their proper usage and how to choose what champions you want to scale up. At the start of the battle, Raven attack increases by 10%. For no reason. It just increases by 10%, which is important when you consider the fact that her spiritual damage that she gives out is equal to 100% of her attack. So, it's just amazing. And the same goes for her demon flight when she's healing the allies, and it's based off of 240% as a level 1 of her attack. Once you unlock this Dark Souls and this increases, it starts off at 10%, it jumps to 25%. You see her scales, they're very high. That's more than double and a half of where to start going from level 1 to level 2. This is increasing her attack. So essentially, her Dark Souls is just an attack increase for her, which is again more healing that she's doling out. And lastly, she increases all champions' attack by 1% on a level 1, and it just doubles itself, goes to 2. I believe the next one will be 4. I can't recall, but she's just increasing all of their attack. So you can see she's just leagues. To me, I think Raven is better than Ivy, and she's a little harder to get because Ivy shards drop plentiful, not just in anvils. You know, they don't drop plentiful in anvils, but they don't just drop in anvils, but they also drop a lot in the mother boxes. I will have to check to see if Raven dropped it in mother boxes. I can't recall. I know Mira does, but this is why Raven to me is better than Ivy. So lastly, some people say that this guy is a pay-to-play character, but to me, Crypto is not a pay-to-play character. I'll tell you why. Throughout the game, you get consistent chances of getting the hero shards. Crypto can use hero shards. I only use my hero shards on Crypto. I only use them on Crypto. You see he's already at 4 blue stars, and it's going to continue to go that way. I'm going to continue to only use all my AC/DC shards on him. You know, you can also purchase him very easy if you're a small spender. This is in the daily deals. In the daily deals, you can swip the Crypto, pay $5, and end up with 10 shards automatically. So he's someone that you can easily upgrade, whether you're doing light spending or you're doing free to play. He is not a pay to win character. A lot of people say that, but he is not pay to win. You simply have to use AC/DC shards. You can use it on all the people that's on this list. I recommend only using it on Crypto. You cannot use AC/DC shards on Green Lantern. Can't use them on a lot of characters. But you can't use them on Green Lantern, but you can use them on Crypto. And the reason for me is why he's not considered pay to win, because you can use the AC/DC shards on him. And so that's the list. We're going to go over Crypto's abilities. The last ability I'll just go to real quick because it's all about Superman and the Superman family. He increases at a level 3. He increases Superman family champions attack by 4.5% and physical defense by 4.5%. If you know anything about how hard Superman hits, you know that 1% more damage is a lot of damage coming on Superman. Just to get that one out the way, we go to his main ability. At level 3, he zips around excited, knocking down enemies in his path and reducing their attack by 16%. He also heals allies in his path for 60% of his attack per second for 5 seconds. Passively, instead of attacking, Crypto sniffs out buried bones across the battlefield. Each bones he finds grants him a large amount of energy and increases his healing effect by 5%, stacking up to 50% of his healing effect. So when he's going around knocking down these enemies, this is the equivalent of a stun, because while these enemies are knocked down, they cannot attack and they can be attacked. So this is equivalent of a stun. So it's very important. It's a very important ability. I love using it. It buys you the extra seconds you need to get your spiritual attack up to be able to use your special. His first ability, he is called Good Boy. At level 3, Crypto heals allies within range for 270% of his attack. So what need to be understood with these different abilities is that they occur randomly throughout the game. They generate power the same way your main special does, and then the hero just uses it. This is whether you have it on auto or do not have it on auto. If you played and you see Superman using his heat ray, using his cool breath, he's doing that throughout the matchup. And this is the same thing that these people are doing with their abilities. And the same thing Crypto is doing. So randomly throughout the match, he's running throughout the match, healing allies within range for 210, 270 or more of his attack. With his therapy dog, when an ally drops below 50% health power, Crypto flies to their side, granting a shield equal to 340% of his attack and healing them for 170% of his attack. This skill has a 10-second cooldown after Crypto actively cast it. So this skill does have a cooldown, but it's an amazing skill. You probably only need it once per match anyway. You know, the matches only last about 2 minutes on the long matches anyway. And the final ability at level 2, casting the ultimate generates 4 Krypton energies. And later, if he get defeated, the Krypton energies go to the nearest Superman family, which will be Superman more than likely, because it's early in the game. Superman is the first hero that's being dropped. Everyone will be hunting for him with their anvils. You probably won't even be hunting for him and just end up with him. So he'll benefit just from Crypto being in the match. Once you get Superman, especially if you get him up to 5 white stars, you're going to want to use him at every chance you get. And he's just amazing, especially early in the game. So at the start of the battle, Crypto gains 50% bonus health power, increases all allies' physical and spiritual defense by 15% of his own. So what this does is when they cast their special, he's giving you extra defense against their specials. And this is all allies. Casting his ultimate generates 2 Krypton energies. And if Crypto is defeated, his effect transferred to the nearest Superman family. So these are the top 4 heroes you can use as a free-to-play early in the game. There's more that come later, like Constantine, so they get to come later. And this is my list on who you should be focused on utilizing. So at the top of the list is going to be Crypto. Number 2 will be Raven, Ivy, and then Mira. Bear in mind that when you first get these different champions, their benefit depends on how many stars there is. For instance, Ivy with 0 stars is not better than a Mira with 5 stars. So you want to go ahead and make sure you're getting these stars, and then you will get to talk about AC/DC at a later time. I do want to apologize for another 20-minute video. I try not to make my videos this long. I'll be focusing on cutting them down and making them short. I thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Send a comment. Let me know what you think. Peace.